Good evening again. Check this out. 3 lives in one night. Yes, I'm on a roll, having a ton of fun. And tonight, this one is about the integrity of seasoning. What do you mean seasoning? I'm talking food seasoning. So for those of you that are foodies or winos or beer aficionados, this is a fun one for you. Okay, how do we know how to season food? Can we make our own seasoning? Does seasoning really make a difference? Psst. Can we use old wine? I've heard chefs say if it's not good enough to drink, why would we cook with it? I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. Did you know you could even use sugar for seasoning and cooking? In the water. All right, so let's have a little fun, shall we? What's the purpose of seasoning? Well, for those of you, I love filet of beef, and it doesn't have a lot of fat. And some people will say, well, if the filet of beef doesn't have a lot of fat, it doesn't have a lot of flavor. So for them, they like ribeye. Ribeye has a lot of marbling, and they love it because it has so much flavor. Nope. You know what? For me, I like to add my own seasoning. I actually like to saute mushrooms in real butter with white pepper. And then when they're done cooking, take them out of the pan and use that pan to sear the filet. I put a little bit of black mixed pepper on it, sear it in a red hot pan on one side, flip it and do the edges, and then flip it on the last raw side, and turn the light down and let it simmer and sear. Because I like it cooked and medium rare so that it's warm on the center. Now the seasoning in that pan adds just the right, perfect amount of seasoning to the filet. It is mwah. And how did I do that? Simply, I did portobello mushrooms, chopped up, diced up with butter and white pepper in a pan, and cooked them, reduced them down, and then left some of that juice in the pan from the water and the butter and the white pepper. Took out the mushrooms. And that's what I used for seasoning to make my filet. So is that making my own? Yes, it is. Is that a ton of fun? Yes. Some of the seasonings out there are very, very salty. You want to be careful. In fact, I just ruined a pound of beef last week because it was so salty because I put too much of this seasoning in it, steak seasoning that had salt and everything into it. So for me, making my own, much better. Buying a little garlic powder, buying a little fresh garlic, buying white pepper, buying curry, all these different things, buying some perhaps basil, some parsley, some tarragon thyme, all of these, some Italian seasoning, lemon pepper, putting some of these things together, putting a little wine in there, a little red or white. Now, why do I use old wine? You know what? That little bit of vinegary taste, some people cook with balsamic vinegar. So therefore, for me, I like to use that wine. I like that acid. It helps break down the meats. It's beautiful. So for me, cooking and poaching a steak in that juice, in that white wine, and some of that seasoning, perfect, beautiful. In fact, some of you, it's a good thing to sear them and then take it out and put it on the barbecue and let it cook the rest of the way on the barbecue. Oh, ton of fun. Now, when you're doing potatoes, boiling potatoes, or boiling any vegetables, try something fun. Put a little garlic, like a couple tablespoons of fresh garlic into the water. Put a teaspoon or of salt, sea salt, into the water. Add a little rosemary into the water. Have some fun with the water. Be careful not to put too much salt. If life was a little too salty, it doesn't get not so good. And it's hard to get rid of. It's easier to add a little salt than it is to take it away. One of the coolest things I ever learned was when I watched my oldest sister put sugar with her peas. Now that was interesting. It brought out the flavor. It was kind of cool. And that's, to me, what putting that seasoning into the water when you're boiling vegetables does. It helps bring out a little bit more. It makes the flavors pop. Too much kills them, of course. So be careful. Learn your amounts. Better use too little until you understand and can judge by the size of a pan. Any kind of seasoning, when it's cooked into the meal, is much better than adding it at the table. And I love it when I can cook a meal and I let people, as they come over to my house to eat, I warn them, whoa, stop. Before you add salt and pepper, do me a favor, take a bite. And it's so much fun to see them take a bite and go, oh, this is perfectly seasoned. Oh, and there's salt. Because for a long time, restaurants stopped putting salt into their food. Now, today, chefs are a little bit more brave. They're not so worried, and they salt, and they lightly salt. But for a long time, some of the food in restaurants was very bland. Therefore, I invite you to play with seasoning. Get spicy. Have a little bit of fun. Throw some seasoning in there. Use a little wine. Poach chicken breasts in wine. Ooh, red wine, deep red wine. Oh, with pepper. And put that in the chicken. Cook it and then throw it on the barbecue and give it a little sear on both sides. Beautiful. And that searing in the pan helps sear in the moisture. Oh, it's wonderful. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. I'm a little hungry. I'm going to bail out. Hope you enjoyed this video. Look forward to some more. The integrity of seasoning. Watch it. Learn what's workable, what's not. Have fun. God bless. Take care.